Rebecca and I started Tell It on Tuesday just about 15 years ago. We were in the process of planning Tell It on Tuesday about 15 years ago, and we had our first one in June. So next month will be our 15th anniversary celebration. So we did start at the Julia Morgan Center for the Arts on College Avenue, and we brought some risers onto the stage and created a performance there. I think some of you that I scrolled through looking at the audience, some of you were at that first performance in 2005. Um, and we eventually moved the performance after 5 years, we moved it to the Marsh. And so we've been a part of the Marsh's programs ever since then for 10 years. So I wanted to ask how many of you are new to Tell It on Tuesday, but I can't really see you. So
You can scroll through.
I can scroll through. So just hold your hand up for a really
Yeah,
long
I see
time.
this. Kim is new. Let's see. Let's see. Well, Bennett Caffey. Oh, that's right. You performed last month and you're back here for the first time to watch. That's pretty cool. That's yep. Let's see who someone else had their hands. Well, I
None of the
might
people have
not
their
name
videos
everybody
on.
because I can't see the video of
Yeah,
everyone, but that was
the-
pretty fun to scroll through.
Yeah, I know. It was fun to see everybody. But welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is our second time being online. It's our first time having music, so thanks so much to Dave and Forrest to making that happen for us. That was fun to start off with that. A little bit of rock music, and they're clapping at us. I wanted to just explain a little bit about how the night is going to go. We're going to have three performers tonight, and Rebecca or I will come up and introduce each performer before they come on and give you a little bit of information before that, and then we'll nestle in there. And we're aiming to wrap up by 8:30, so you can still, you know, go on your back porch and have, some ice cream in the warm weather. Uh, which we're having here in the Bay Area. If you're not joining us from the Bay Area, I don't know what your weather's like. But welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Anything else that I forgot to say, Rebecca?
I just want to let you know that there's the Marsh is doing this all for free, which is fabulous. And just always remind people that the tipping jar, which is on the website, is a great way to support these endeavors. And it's just a really welcome thing by the Marsh, and we are grateful that they are hosting this and making this happen. And there are people that are working, and the tipping jar would help them. So that's it. I just want to remind you before I forgot. That's it.
Excellent. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to start with our first performer. And our first performer is Kirk Weiler. And oh, I set down this piece of paper that had his title on there. It's there's where did I put it? It might be under here. I don't know what I did with it. Um, Let me unmute him. Kirk, you have to accept my unmute. All right. Can you correct me on your title?
That's fine.
There's no Moonrise?
Yeah.
That's what it is?
Oh,
Okay.
of the story, I know Moonrise, yes.
I know Moonrise. Okay. A very captivating story. Okay. Welcome, Kirk. Thank you. I will let you take it away.
All right, thank you, Bridget. So wanted to be back here, Bridget and Rebecca. Just love Tell It on Tuesday and trying to figure out what to do and how all this is going to work, in our virtual concert setting here. So I'm just going to go for it. I have a really fun story that I've been working on. And it's called I Know Moonrise. It's a kind of an adaptation of an old folk tale. It was a version J.E. Schlescher wrote that I kind of played with and made it my own. So I hope you enjoy it. So every culture, every family has one of those "you better be good or the boogeyman will get you" type of stories, right? I mean, whether it's passed down from generation to generation within the family, or maybe it's a folk tale or a legend. Wiley and the Hairy Man comes to mind, or La Llorona. Sometimes it's to a geographical location, whether it's the house at the end of the block that's creaky and the old kind of strange man lives there, or whether it's a monster in a particular forest that's supposed to inhabit there, or maybe a ghost in an abandoned building, or maybe a family Little John Bontemps and his mama and his papa, Big John Bontemps, lived by the old McCarthy plantation, not too far from the marsh. And little John, he was going to be a big boy now, 13 years old, almost a man if you asked him. And well, he didn't need his mom or his pop or even his big cousin Ray to walk him into town anymore. He was too big for that. But it didn't stop his mama. I mean, she took every opportunity to warn him about the pitfalls and dangers of life, what not to do, where not to go, who not to be with. And as far as little John was concerned, she basically wanted him to sit on a stump and let it grow moss and sit there and die and have no fun until the rest of his life. But there was one thing that she would tell him every day, and I mean every day. She'd say, "Now, little John, you know," and he did know. He knew every word that she was about to say. He could recite it along with her if he wanted to, but he didn't do that. He didn't want to get popped or hollered at or punished. And so he just kind of sat there and tried to listen like it was his first time ever hearing it. She'd say, "Now, little John, you know not to go along that path near the marsh. Don't go along that path." And then she'd always pause for effect and to make sure he heard her good. "You hear me?" "Yes, yes, ma'am." "Now, you're going to get yourself killed if you don't listen to your mama, so you better pay attention." Pause. "You hear me, boy?" "Yes, ma'am." Now, little John didn't mind his mama giving him these words of wisdom the way mamas do, but he wondered why his mama's words of wisdom and warnings always ended up with dismemberment or a hole in the head or certain death. But this particular day, Papa paid attention to how little John acted when his mama talked to him. He seemed a little more slumped than usual, like he was trying really hard not to roll his eyes unsuccessfully, trying not to huff underneath his breath. And his papa took note of it, and he knew that it was time. He knew that he'd better tell him now before it's too late. So he got up a chair and he sat right opposite a little John and just kind of looked at him a spell. John knew something was up, so he kind of got stiff and nervous. Yeah, yes, sir. His papa looked around to make sure his mama was gone, make sure no one else was listening. "You know why your mama tell you not to go near the marsh, right?" I don't know." Then he got even closer. "You know she had a little sister, little Jean, right?" "Yeah, but I don't know much about her. Mama don't say much." "Well, they used to live right here in this very house when they were little kids. You know, they growed up right here. And you know, your grandpa eventually got sick and died and left it to your mama. But before all that, there was kids here. And your mama, it was like two peas in a pod. She looked after her real good. Sometimes she was like a big sister. And sometimes she was like a mama. On account of her mama and papa was always out working hard, trying to put food on the table." "Yeah, yes, sir." "Well, one day, your little Aunt Jean, she took the pathway by the marsh to go by the old pond to collect some firewood. And she disappeared. Disappeared. Yeah, everybody, kinfolk, neighbors, just about everyone went looking for her and hollering her and screaming out her name. They was getting so scared, but she never came back, little John. And that night, they found a straw hat floating in the marsh water. That's that's sad, Papa. That, that's real sad. But I ain't gonna fall in the marsh water like Mama's little sister. You don't think I'm gonna fall in the water, do you, Papa?" "That ain't it, son. You see, it's her little spirit." "What?" Little John almost fell out of his chair, stumbled back a little, stood straight up, and looked right at his papa. You mean like a ghost?" "Not like a ghost. Sit down." Little John kind of made his way back to the chair and he sat down and swallowed real hard. See, sometimes she goes along the pathway. Sometimes she goes across the marsh at night. Sometimes she calls out. Sometimes she sings out. I know moonrise. His papa looked around like maybe he shouldn't be telling him this story. Maybe he shouldn't be singing her a song like that. I know starrise. Latest body down. Okay, Papa. Okay. I won't go near the marsh. I don't want to see no ghosts. But Papa, he didn't pay any attention to little John now. He was far away somewhere. If he would have paid attention, he would have saw that the color had drained from his face and his arms and neck was all goose flesh. After she drowned, her little spirit goes over the marsh. She's looking for folk. She's lonesome. She wants a family. So sometimes she goes there and she sings. She beckons them with her singing. So she'll be with them. And so it's safe for your friends to walk along the path because they ain't family. And then you look right at little John. But don't you go near that marsh or she'll come for you. Stay away from the marsh. Now little John was listening. He was listening real good. And he stayed away from that marsh. And it was like the time of year where it would get dark early. So he really didn't have any reason to go near the marsh, except maybe on Saturdays, but he didn't. It was a long time before he even thought about it. But the long, hot days of summer coming, and it was hard to remember Mama's warnings and Daddy's stories. And he'd forget. He'd go after he finished his chores, off wandering with his friends. You know how kids do in the summertime. Wouldn't come home till nearly dark. One time, he and his friend Jimmy got caught in town after sunset. And they wasn't doing anything particular, just wandering around the way kids do. Then all of a sudden, Jimmy says, Little John, it's about to be dark. My papa gonna get me good if I miss dinner. Let's go. And he started walking straight towards the shortcut by the marsh, expecting Little John to follow. Little John kind of stopped. He just watched Jimmy's back go deeper into the marsh. And he thought about it, and he didn't quite know what to do. He knew he'd get in trouble too if he came home after dark, but he'd be in even bigger trouble if he got caught in that pathway. And then he kind of straightened up inside and had a conversation with himself. He's like, I ain't scared of no story. If it is true, if that's a big if it is true, Jimmy's with me and he ain't family. She wouldn't come after me, not tonight. I'd be safe. And so he caught up to Jimmy like it wasn't nothing. And they just walked along the pathway and they just listened to that breeze, that summer breeze blowing through the grasses, just whispering and swishing its way through. And then John stopped just for a minute and looked up at the moon. It was so bright and clear tonight. It was sparkling. And he looked down at the marsh water. It was all silvery and glittery. And then just as quick, his throat got tight. His breathing got shallow. He started breathing real fast, and he looked up and he could see his nose and his mouth. The air was coming out like it was frozen, but it was summertime. And then he called out to Jimmy. He tried to call out to Jimmy, but no sound came out. And Jimmy sure didn't hear him. And he sure enough didn't see the spirit of a little girl coming across the marsh. Her little hands and little feet was outstretched. She was just real gentle and easy. I know moonrise. I know starrise. To lay this body down. I walk in moonlight, walk in the starlight, to lay this body down. Walk in the graveyard, walk through the graveyard, to lay this body down. Lay in the grave, stretch out my arms, to lay this body down. Little John was feeling so peaceful and so calm. He felt like his mama was holding him in his arms, and she was just rocking him to sleep like he was a little baby or something. And then his little Aunt Jean showed him a vision of himself. He was all grown up. He was big and strong and handsome, and he'd done good in his life. And Mom was just standing there. She was all proud, had her arms stretched out. She wanted little John to come to him. And little John started walking. The water started splashing around his feet and ankles, but he didn't pay no attention to it. He started walking towards his mama, only paying attention to her and that song that he heard in his ears. Go to the judgment in the evening of the day, to lay this body down, and my soul and your soul gonna meet in the evening or the day, to lay this body down. I'm coming, Mama. He could feel the water around his knees, in his waist, in his chest. I'll be right there, Mama. Mm, mm. And then next thing he knew, the stank of the marsh water was in his mouth and his nose. He was gagging and swallowing. And then the world went dark. When he woke up, little John was at home. He was laying in his bed. Jimmy was there. And his papa was sitting right beside him. And they was telling him how Jimmy had pulled him out the marsh, and he screamed and hollered for Mr. Bontemps, and his papa came running and he pushed the air out of him and pushed the water out of him and got the air back into him. And his papa touched little John on the head. But you all right now. We got you back. Little John looked up at his papa for a long time without saying a word. And finally, the words come. I saw Mama's little sister. She sang to me. And then Mama came in the room with something hot to drink and another blanket. She had tears in her eyes. She didn't have to say, I told you so. She didn't have to say nothing at all. She just cried and held little John. I ain't never going near that marsh again, Mama. Never. I'll never want to hear that song again, neither. Little John Bontemps didn't go near that marsh. Even when he grew up. He grew up and he wound up living in that very house. He got married, had kids of his own. And he would tell them from the time that they were very little every day. Now listen to me. Now I don't care what nobody says. Don't you ever, I mean never, go near that marsh. And then he paused. You hear me? I know star rise to lay this body down. Thank you.
Thanks,
That was
Kirk.
great.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, that really was. I love your singing and the soul of it. Thank you. Kirk has been around part of our performance community for a long time. He is a former storytelling director at Stagebridge, and now he's moved on from there. But we worked a lot with him with our annual story partnership performance, and he's been a performer with us for a lot. The annual partnership performance with Stagebridge. Anyway, so I'm excited about our next performer. Her name is Pamela Ann Keane, and she's performing High and Low. So let's welcome Pamela.
Wait, I have to.
Oh, no, wait, don't start until we get you on pause, Pamela.
I don't see her.
She should be there.
Pamela, where are y'all?
Pamela, are you around?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're unmuting you. And you
It's
have to
not
turn your video on, Pamela.
It's not letting me do it. Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
Here I am. Let's see. Ready? Or can you see me and hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Warm one today. Just thinking about it gives me a chill. There were some cold nights on those streets. Yep, I was homeless. 45 years old with a little shopping cart. You know the kind like you take to the shopping mart. I figured it was better than one of those Safeway carts. That was a dead giveaway you were homeless. I used to keep my clothes folded nice and neat in it, as if I'd just come from the laundromat. I figured no one would be the wiser. I also had my cardboard in it, and it wasn't just any cardboard. I called it Cadillac cardboard. Altogether, it's 2 pieces. That's a box spring and a freaking mattress. It wasn't always like that for me, though. I was a hairdresser, a bartender, a DJ, an MC at a comedy club. I had a fiance, Richard. He was a happy-go-lucky guy. You're killing me, Smalls, but I still love your crazy ass. We loved to travel. We had a timeshare in Cabo. We had 30 grand in our savings, mutual funds, stocks. I owned my own car. Sounds great, right? Well, through it all, I suffered frightfully from bipolar manic depression, severe anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Drugs and alcohol utterly made it worse. I found myself creeping down a torturous, tangled, vicious cycle. In and out of mental institutions, friends and family began to distance themselves. My dad said that he expected the next phone call from Richard would be that I was dead. Your friends and family can't help you, and neither can I. I just can't do this anymore. I lost everything, including Richard. He left me after 20 years for someone else. I would have left me too. So I put myself in rehab, successfully completed a 90-day program, moved into a master bedroom with a patio and petunias. I met a guy, Spender. He's 6'2" with eyes of blue. And with a cheeky grin, he says he likes me. Irregardless, he came with drugs and alcohol. And I liked them. So I said adieu to my petunias, and I hit the road with Spender. We worked our way up from San Francisco to Monterey. And just in 6 months' time, I'm a junkie, sleeping in the alleyways, in the Mission District, slowing my highs and high-in my lows. But I do remember this one day. I'm standing in the alleyway with a couple OGs having a beer, had a cigarette in hand. Spender just went to score some dope. It's a beautiful day. The breeze is blowing. I've got my scarf wrapped around my neck like I'm motherfucking Audrey Hepburn. And 2 guys roll up. and they say, "Hey, Ma, how you doing?" Well, there ain't no one else around here to be calling Ma, so I guess they're talking to me. Now, I'm so used to getting solicited for sex, I'm about to yell, "That ain't my get down, asshole." But before I can say anything, they scream out, "Hey, you look like you've had money." Well, you know I'm listening now because don't you know who I am? Of course I've had money. I don't belong out here. They gesture me over to the car. I bite. "Why don't you get in? We've got an opportunity." Well, I need money. So I get in the back seat. The passenger at the seat way back, and the driver with his seat all the way back, hands still on the steering wheel, long dreads, and an obvious partner in crime. The passenger had a fresh cut with his line done real neat. Fresh cut says his name is L, and the driver is Pac-Man. L asks if I know anything about this new banking system. Well, I've been on the streets for a minute. Game recognizes game. I know a little bit about it. L is a silver-tongued snake charmer, and I was the snake. And whilst in mid-trance, I loved his rehearsed spiel. He said they were going to Las Vegas. "How about if we put you up in a hotel for the night?" Wow, I thought. Bed, shower, toilet, soap? I'm game. Well, next morning they pick me up and off to get a passport photo of me. And then, after getting a few other people together and another car, we're off on the road that night to Las Vegas. I sleep the whole way. And when I wake up, there we were. We're in Las Vegas, baby. We stop at McDonald's. And for the first time in months, I'm able to use the bathroom without sneaking in. And most of my recent meals have been found on top of garbage cans. But today, I guess you could call this my happy meal. Then off to the hotel. Well, Motel 6, that is, where I find myself bunking with 4 black guys and only 2 beds. This is awkward. Elle has a girl with him whose name is Dora. They get a room of their own, and I get the feeling she wants nothing to do with me. Pops, an OG for sure. He has a bum shoulder and a limp to go along with it. He hands me $11 for a tall boy and a pack of cigarettes. And so the routine begins. Day after day, promising me big money and drugs, and week after week, promising me we'd go home, and we don't. Pops is one who just decides to explain the banking game to me. He tells me, "You're going to be dancing in the honey holes." He says, "Dancing, be going into the banks and getting that money. And the honey hole be the banks." Now, Pops is the nicest to me, so he takes me out to get a new dress. I go in, and they give me an ID. My picture's on it. It's me, but it isn't me. But it is me. Only the name has changed. They said all I had to do was remember a social security number, and the Macy's account was mine. 9 numbers. That doesn't seem too hard. It worked. I went in and bought myself a designer scoop neck, black and teal summer dress. Next day, Els teaches me the banking system. So we go out all night, back and forth together at an exponential speed. Give them the deposit slip, give them the withdrawal slip, take the money, take the ID back, give them the social, it was just so much. But we finally figured out how to get this down, and we went to the bank the next day. They send me in with a seasoned veteran. Her name is Dora, again, Elle's girl, and I don't think she wants me anywhere around her. So we walk into the bank, and she has an incredible confidence about her. She It's $5,000 cash in her hand in less than 5 minutes. I don't know why, but this is like a whole new drug to me. So, next stop, I'm up. We pull up to the bank. My adrenaline is rushing so hard, I can barely feel myself breathe. I've got so much to remember. Money, deposit slips, social dates, births. My brain and my body just don't feel in sync right now. But I get up and I get out of the car and I walk into the bank. Oh, and one thing I forgot to tell you that Elle said and made very clear. If they ask you to have a seat, get out. The play's gone bad. So, ma'am, just what are you withdrawing $5,000 for today? Well, a new car? A truck? Why don't you have a seat? It's going to be just a minute. So what did I do? But politely take a seat. Now Elle's blowing my phone up. I assure him that they're coming back with the ID any minute now. The bank manager and someone else are coming straight for me. Elle says, run. They chase me out of the bank. I see lights flashing and I hear security truck alarm sounding and I see lights flashing. And to this day, I don't know how I got across, but I ran across a 6-lane highway. As I'm maneuvering across the highway, Spender calls and says, what are you doing? I said, running for my life. I maneuvered across the highway a little bit more, ducked into a corner phone store where I became paralyzed. Elle calls and says, where are you? We got to pick you up. I'm across the street in the corner phone store. He tries to coax me out, but I see a fire truck, and for some reason, I think they're there for me. He assures me they're not. So I go and I get in the back seat. He tells me, did you get the ID back? I said, no. He said, what did I tell you? Get down in the back seat and stay down till we get out of town. When I told you to get the ID back, I meant it. Now, you don't know how much money you cost us and you ruined the play. The account is dead. I am sobbing in the back seat after about 10 minutes of this. Finally, Dora puts a halt to the attack. Elle, knock it off. It was her first time. You're such an asshole. Okay, look, Ma, I'm sorry. But when your first play goes bad, that's actually kind of a good thing, because then you'll know that look when they're on to you. At that moment, I knew I was officially inducted into the gang. They made me feel like I was part of something big. I had definitely been recruited now. And now we traveled like a family, staying in hotels, not on cardboard. I had gone from homeless to hotels and from alleyways to airplanes. And I was running my own show now, and I was playing the role of a lifetime. Sometimes when I play Olga, I'd fake a Russian accent, and I don't even know how to speak Russian. And then I was pulling out all the stops, from slings on my arm to vacations to Disneyland with Mary and buying cars with Betty. We were balling. We were drinking everything from Dom Perignon, Cristal, and only the best VSOP. And shopping from True Religion, Gucci, and Prada. We were doing the most. And we would also put on 2 Chainz, and I would try to dance, white girl style. And they would be my cheerleaders, cheering me on. Go, Mom. Go, Mom. Yep. Instead of Mom, they called me Mom now. I liked being called Mom. I didn't ever have any kids of my own, and I don't know why, but I tried. Maybe the drugs and the alcohol just messed up my system, but it felt great to be called Mom. And so now when I travel with Elle, and they ask if we're traveling together. He says, yes, this is my mom, and we're on vacation.
Yay. Oh, that was great, Pamela. That was an excerpt that Pamela's doing. She's a member of a group called the project called Formerly Incarcerated People's Project, that's directed by Mark Kinward, and she's one of the performers that's in a larger group. And so that was a great, fun excerpt. Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pamela. Okay, so our final performer of the evening is Steve Budd, and I'm gonna scroll down and find him. Steve, can you turn your camera on and then you'll pop up a little higher? Are you there? Did we lose him?
We can't be losing our performers.
I don't see him. Did we lose him? Up here.
I can't turn it on, he says. He just wrote us back. So, Steve, you can't turn on the video?
Yeah, because the host has stopped it.
Really?
The video you should have control over. Let's see.
No, it's possible that
oh, I see. Let's look.
Let me
That's
see.
an important detail. Let's see here.
Yeah, so we have to ask him to start his video. There you go.
We're so good at this. Okay. All right. So Steve, Bud, I see you. So up next we have Steve Budd, and he is going to be performing a piece called What They Said About Sex. Welcome, Steve.
I identify as a queer hetero. Sorry, hi, I'm Chris. I identify as a queer heterosexual because was a lesbian for many years before my transition to malehood. So yeah, I've been entirely oriented toward women my entire life, whether as a woman or as a man. I just realized this window is open. I have neighbors right here. This is exciting, being on camera. I want my own TV show someday. Hi, I'm Maria. I'm sadly so straight. I'm straight to a fault. And I say that because if I was bi or pan, I'd have so many more options. And I'm polyamorous, totally poly. Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm gay/queer. Gay has to do with my sexual orientation, and queer is how I express it in the world. For a while, I identified as polyamorous, and I still feel poly in spirit, but not in practice, because having multiple romantic partners kind of left me drained. Oh, you know my name. Oh, all right. Hello, everyone. I'm Sylvia. Female. She, her, cis. CIS. Is that the right term? Oh. I'm heterosexual. Very heterosexual. I love women as friends, but that's as far as it goes. Hi, guys. So you just met Chris and Maria and Anthony and Sylvia. I call them the Sexplorers, but I can't let them do all the talking. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide on our tour of the ups and downs and ins and outs of sex. I wanted to talk to people who have gone places I haven't gone and see if I want to go there. What do they know that I don't know? Probably a lot. I was a late bloomer and still have some catching up to do. I just want to start by saying I'm straight. I'm totally straight. There's a spectrum. I'm aware of that. And I'm totally 100%. Okay. It doesn't seem fair to expose my interviewees, but not myself. Guys, this is confidential, by the way, just between you and me. I'm going to have you all sign a non-disclosure agreement at the end of the evening. We can do that on Zoom, right? Okay, good. So as I was saying, I'm totally 100% straight-ish. That's my sexual orientation, straight-ish. Because I was with a guy once, or more than once, but it was just one guy. Unless you count that other time. That other guy and I, we got naked together, but all we did was touch. It was part of a weekend workshop. And the one guy I was really with, that was over 20 years ago. So, I mean, does that even count? Like I said, straight-ish. There's a story there, of course. We'll get to it. Keep your shirts on, or not. And none of this is to leave the Zoom room. Understood? What happens on Zoom stays on Zoom. Okay, let's dive in. It was tough being a pre-trans kid. My parents took me to a wedding when I was 10, and I remember feeling really uncomfortable with people praising me for dressing like a girl, and it wasn't just that I was a tomboy, this male-like creature. I was also very sexual. I got in trouble for showing neighborhood boys my dad's Playboy stash at the age of 5, and for harassing girls at school when I was 6, like getting in their laps and things like that. This is going to go on my TV show. So my parents bought these sex books and they put them out, and they were like, there were some books over there. I remember sneaking one into my room and I was like, holy crap, what is this? I thought you could get pregnant by hugging. Guys, it took me forever to have my first wet dream. I was 16. You realize what that means? Even my unconscious was inhibited. So uptight about sex. I'm 8 years old. My mother's reading to us on the couch. I'm on one side of her, my little brother's on the other. The man enters the woman and his sperm fertilizes the egg in her uterus. Fertilizes? Like with manure? Oh, Steve, what's that? Oh, that's a penis. You have one too. My dad sticks his head in the room, scowls, and leaves. Why is Dad angry? Oh, he's just tired from work. When I'm 10, we visit my grandparents' grave, my mom's parents. She was the youngest of 13. Why'd they have so many kids? Good question. I think they really loved each other and they expressed it through sex. My dad sticks a pipe in his mouth and stalks off. I'm 12, on the couch, looking at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. God, Cheryl Teagues. A shadow darkens the page. My dad looms over me, frowning. I turn the page to an article on spring training. Raise your hand if you had a sex-positive childhood. Yeah, about what I thought. Oh, how many times do you want me to say it? Okay, I'm Sylvia. When I was 12, my father enlisted in the army. He was involved with the liberation of Dachau. And when he came back, he said, we need to have one more Jew. He was 45 and my mother was 42.
And when I told my junior high classmates my mother was pregnant, they were like, your parents are still doing it? That's disgusting. My father worked a lot, and I remember my uncle saying, I'm surprised you found the time. And my father said, how long does it take? My parents taught me that sex is nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to enjoy, and I'm still enjoying it at 81.
I think on some level, I knew I was gay when I was a little boy. I was born on an Air Force base, and when I was 6 or 7, I'd go to the gym with my dad sometimes. And when he was done working out, he'd go dress in the locker room, and I'd sit there and watch all these men, naked men, just walking past me. I'm about at dick height. After the first time, I was like, when are we going back to the gym?
When I go off to college at 18, I haven't even masturbated yet. I've kissed a girl. One night, I'm drinking beer with some friends in another dorm. They leave, and I'm alone with Christy. She's the manager of the men's wrestling team, large breasted and slightly stocky. Hey, Steve, you want a Miller Lite or a Narragansett? A Miller. One too many. I lie down next to her. Feel like making out? What? Come on, Steve, it'll be fun. She starts kissing me. I'm not into it, but I'm a guy and guys don't say no. I grew up in a Boston suburb that was like jock central. If you weren't the right kind of boy, and I wasn't, you heard a lot of homo, gaylord, femme, pussy, fag, faggot. Christy takes off her shirt. Her bra is beige and boring. Don't be a pussy, bud. I run my hand over her breasts. It's like someone else is doing it. That feels good. Christy tugs on her bra and one of her boobs pops out. There's so much of it. If Bud was in a room with a naked woman, he wouldn't know what to do. You can suck on it if you want. So I do. I don't want to, but I do. Christy unbuttons my shirt and rubs her hand over my chest and stomach. And then she sticks her hand down my pants. The first girl to touch me down there. I've barely touched me down there. You're really buzzed, huh? Yeah. That was fun. Yeah, it was. I'll probably blush next time I see you. She kisses me goodnight with lots of tongue and tosses me a beer. One for the road. I go outside to the courtyard and I was a born again Christian. I was 18, traveling by myself in London. I had my Bible with me, if you can imagine that. And I'm lonely, and I meet this guy, and he's nice to me, and he seems okay because he's older. And I was raised not to say no, so that's how I end up alone with him, naked on the floor in his apartment, a knife in his hand. I had taken rape training courses, and they said, if they have a knife, don't fight back. Use your wits. So I tell him I have cancer, like maybe he won't rape me if he takes pity on me. And he tells me to get on all fours. I didn't even know people had sex like that. So I'm down there and I'm just praying like crazy. And then at the last minute, he starts apologizing. And I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. I'm going to go now. And I just got the fuck out of there. After that happened, I stopped going to church and started drinking heavily. I didn't know that, well, I thought maybe I'm going to be a lesbian. Maybe this is how lesbians come about. I didn't know that I could ever have sex with a man after that. Yeah, I've never had anyone force themselves on me. I've been very fortunate. Well, when I was a teenager, I went to Harlem to listen to music. And this guy came up to me and said, I'm going to rape you. And I said, you don't want to rape me. Just find someone who's better for you. I'm not your type. And he said, okay, and walked away. Gewalt.
Actually, when I was 18 was the first experience I had with someone who I knew had a gay history. He was a member of my church, and I was staying at his place. And I knew that he had repented from his gay ways. And I also knew that I had these feelings. So I was like, maybe I can learn how to completely wash them away. So in the middle of the night, I'm lying there, and he's like, Anthony? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I can't sleep. What about you? And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm kind of awake too. And then he crawls from his bed to mine, and he says, isn't there a scripture in the Bible that says, greet your brother with a holy kiss? And he kisses me. And then he's like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm so sorry. And he crawls back to his bed. But what happened, dude, was this floodgate opened and all these temptations. I kept thinking about guys, naked guys. So I got a girlfriend and had girlfriends all through college. But I didn't have sex with them. I was like, I know you want to do more, but we gotta be holy and righteous. Religion was a perfect barricade for me. Speaking of barricades, I didn't masturbate until I was 18. A couple months after Christy stuck her hand down my pants. I'm like the latest of late bloomers. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 22. I don't like to call it that because I don't feel like I lost anything. But the first time I had P and V, penis and vagina sex, I was 23. I lost my virginity at 26. Stop interrupting. No, wait. Let me finish. So I'm in North Carolina, and I'm outside this bar, and it's Pride weekend there. And I know it's a gay club, so I'm like, I can't go in there because I still felt like that's not who I am. But my friend, she's like, oh, come on, it's Pride. Let's go celebrate. And I'm like, I support this community and maybe I'm bi, I don't know. So I walk into the club and it's just packed with guys. And the music is boom, boom, boom. It's just this complete sensory infusion from the outside in. And I'm like, yeah, okay. All the excuses, they just went away. Trafalgar Square is gray. The sky is gray. Gray Lord Nelson looms above atop a tall column. Pigeons, also gray, do their dreary dance around a fountain. Remember the first time you were abroad? It's exciting, romantic, lonely. I'm 22 and still a virgin. Are you North American? Excuse me? I asked if you're North American. His silver hair is combed straight back, his nose aquiline, but his jacket and pants are worn and frayed, his shoes scuffed, his build slight. He's gotta be in his 70s. He can't be hitting on me, can he? American, whereabouts? Boston, New England, the home of the transcendentalists, Emerson and Thoreau and all that nonsense. I prefer the Californians myself, Steinbeck and London and Miller. Their prose is more manly, more visceral, don't you think? I don't know. I'm Roy. What brings you here? Studying abroad, British politics.
How dreadful for you. But studies are never the focus of such programs, are they? Broadening your horizons is really the thing, I guess. Well, I must be off, but it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Stephen. Why don't you pop by sometime for a beer? Here's my number. Do call. He's such a character and so interesting, but I'm pretty sure he's gay and throw away his number. I was homophobic, I'll admit it. I came by it honestly. But later that spring, I run into Roy again and accept his offer to drop by his nearby flat. Excuse the mess, I'm not much for housekeeping. While he pulls beers from the fridge, I glance at the bedroom. Don't be shy, have a look around. The ceiling is covered with dozens and dozens of American flag decals. I've always loved Americans. They have such joie de vivre. I've had many American friends over the years. We go to the park and play hide and seek and cowboys and Indians and wrestle. Promise me we'll have a wrestle one of these days. Okay, guys, I'd like you to sign that non-disclosure agreement. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Steve has been doing Tell It on Tuesday for a while now. I can't remember when your first performance was. Did you do it did you perform with us when we were at the Julia Morgan?
Yeah, definitely. I think he was like 06, if not 06, definitely 07.
You seem like someone that's been around for a long time with us. So anyway, it's great to have you back on Zoom now. You were in the cabaret, I know, and the main stage and the Julia Morgan.
He's gone through the whole thing.
And now you're on Zoom. So truly baptized. Let's invite you guys. You know how we always normally end with a live performance. We thought we just keep doing that for the Zooms. Just tell us a little bit about what's coming up next for you. I guess we could go through the order. Kirk, what you got going on? Bridget, can you unmute him?
Oh, there I am. Thanks, everyone, for the stories. Thanks for the opportunity. I wish I could say I had all kinds of stories lined up. I did. I did have a lot lined up, but things happen. So I'm really glad for this opportunity. I did one Sunday, and this one today. Don't have anything in the near horizon. I have a couple of things on the calendar, so we haven't taken them off yet, but that's down the road a little bit. So just hanging out, working from home, staying safe, one story at a time.
Yay. All right, Pamela, what's up with you?
Well,
it didn't have a performance. It's just your little soapbox, or not soapbox. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep adding to it, and hopefully we get to do some more with. Well, yeah, we're definitely doing some more with you and Mark. And then I'm also with Marin Shakespeare Company, and we have our show coming up on June 13th. I believe it is June 13th. And we perform with another bout of formerly incarcerated peoples. And we are the Returned Citizens Theater Troupe. So that's exciting. So I get to perform again for that.
Will that be on Zoom? Is that on their website?
It will be on Zoom. It's on their website. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Cool. Everyone look out for that one.
Yeah, some great stories.
I'm sure there are. Steve, what's up? What's on your horizon?
Let's see. Well, I've been working on this piece with David Ford and Mark Kenward, and I'll be continuing to work on it with them, probably more with Mark now, as I basically have a full script, and we have to kind of make a few tweaks and whittle it down. So I was supposed to take the show in July to the Capitol Fringe in DC, but we all know what happened to that. So at this point, I'm looking for more bookings, virtual or otherwise. So yeah.
Great. Bridget, do you have anything else to add?
I was trying to get Dave and Forrest up here, our musicians, to announce anything that they have coming up. Maybe they don't have anything coming up. I don't see them anymore. I had them and I asked them to turn on their video and then they went away. So bye.
Oh, there they are.
There
Oh, there.
Their Zoom was having issues.
Do, do you want to tell us about anything you have coming up, either of you?
The one thing I have coming up is signing a retail lease. What do you call it? A retail space for jewelry. Because I'm a jeweler, so I'm gonna be making jewelry in Berkeley on San Pablo Avenue, in between Virginia and Cedar. So that's what I got going on. Boris, you got anything going on? We got nothing else going on.
Working on music, so.
COVID. We're just pandemicing otherwise.
As most of us are. Great.
Thank you so much. That was really great. It was Bridget said, let's bring our musicians back because we normally have 30 minutes of music, and that was a great element to it. So I want to thank Bridget and you guys for being part of the experiment.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
And yes, thanks to all the performers. We couldn't do what we do without the performers, and we also can't do what we do without an audience. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Please come back again next month. Keep an eye out for the announcement. So nice to see a lot of familiar faces here.
I think that's it. Bon appetit.